What's up, geeks? What's up, nerds? Here we are. We're back for another episode of the Galaxy of Geeks podcast. I was off last week, but Victor held it down, baby. He held it down.
Did I? Really?
You held it down. You went on. The show went on. The show went on.
Show went on. That's right.
Yes. Wow, so much going on. Big week today, or this week, not today, but this week. First of all, we're going to be talking about the Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're going to be recapping episodes 4 and 5, so we can be all caught up for season. I don't know. There's a finale happening tomorrow. Is it the series finale? Is it the season finale? We don't know, but there's a finale happening. So of course we'll be talking about our predictions on that as well. And a whole bunch of other stuff. Victor and I were just talking offline. A couple other quick things, quick news hits. We'll be covering some things that we predicted a few weeks back seem to be coming true. You know, we have our like hot take on things, and they seem to be actually happening.
Either that, or they're listening to the show. You know, since we've increased in followers or subscribers.
Yes. Yeah, we have.
You know, they've decided to listen to what we have to say.
Yes. And you know what? I mean, maybe we'll just become the new scoops. Like, we'll get to all the scoops, the hot scoops.
Could you imagine?
Oh, my God. That would be amazing. So, as usual, we want to welcome everybody. Welcome one and all to the show. Thank you for watching live with us. And thank you for everybody that will be watching the replay of the show later on. And, of course, the audio version that will come out on the podcast, wherever you subscribe to podcasts, you can subscribe and hear the audio version of the Galaxy of Geeks podcast. And we go live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can catch us on our Galaxy of Geeks Facebook group, which is free to join. Just go over to Facebook, look for Galaxy of Geeks group. There is a fan page, but we do broadcast in the group. We also broadcast live on YouTube as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. That way you get notified whenever we go live. And of course, do all the things like, share, subscribe, all the things, all those things.
Your family, your friends, your neighbors, your dogs, friends. Your cats.
Everybody. Anybody you know who wants to listen to just good old-fashioned geek talk.
Use Morse code.
Whatever.
Blast it into space, whatever.
Yeah. So we're going to start with the hottest topic first, I think, which is, will the New York Rangers make the play? No, I don't want this is going to become a hockey show all of a sudden, but it is the Falcon and Winter Soldier. That is by far the hottest thing going on right now, what everybody's talking about. And we're gonna break down episodes. Well, we're gonna recap episodes 4 and 5 for you. We're not gonna go into some deep dive breakdown here. There's enough videos about that all over the place. So we're gonna recap that, and then we're gonna give you our thoughts on what we think is gonna happen in the finale. So, yeah, episodes 4 and 5. A lot of great stuff happened. As I predicted, Peter Parker did not show up in any of these episodes, nor will he show up in the finale. That's prediction number 1. No Peter Parker, no Spider-Man at all. And I know here it comes.
Peter Parker will be showing up in the season finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so for anybody new to the show, Victor's got a thing that whenever I make a prediction that someone will or won't be on the show, it means the opposite's going to happen. Since I'm right now, I'm 0 for 2.
Yes, that is the Luke Skywalker will never show up, and Doctor Strange is absolutely showing up in WandaVision season finale of WandaVision.
Yeah. So yeah, that didn't. Neither one of those things happened. So Victor's convinced now because I said Peter Parker Spider-Man will not show up in the finale. That Victor's now convinced that he will be because I said he won't be.
Well, you've been good at predicting, the opposite of what's happened to everywhere else. I mean, logic would dictate that what we'll see at the end probably has something to do with maybe Black Widow or maybe with maybe Loki. Maybe logic would dictate it would probably have to do with Loki, maybe even Armor Wars. Something that's loosely connected to these two characters.
Right.
There is that supposed secret movie that's scheduled for next year.
Right. Which we all think is Blade, but that's just, because Blade doesn't have an official date yet, right? So we're all thinking it's got to be Blade.
But it's interesting to think if they're going to have some type of continuity with the Avengers somehow, just to remind people, hey, we're still here. Different group, other problems, but we're still here.
I do have something we can bring up about that, which I read today, and it made sense. Okay. But I don't want to jump the gun. We'll get there. But let's talk about what happened in these last 2 episodes leading into the finale. Okay. So, episode 4, we had a great episode where basically we see that they we see that what's his name, the U.S. agent. I just keep calling him U.S. agent, evil Captain America.
Yeah. Episode 4 was definitely the ballad of the set list.
It was the ballad of the set list. It was the slowest one. We talked about it, but it was still good.
It was good, but you know what? For me, the biggest problem was episode 3 was so full speed ahead.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it went from Maxwell murder to goodbye to romance. And that's one of those things where if that comes up in the shuffle playlist, you're like, wait a second, that's an instant mood killer. That next song, Yeah.
Well,
the episode wasn't bad. They slowed things down, but to pick things up because I think episode 5 was so intense, though.
Yeah, it was, and I think it was a great. I mean, listen, it was definitely slower, but I think it was needed. We needed a break because the first 3 episodes were like everything moved fast. We got so much action. They really dumped a lot on us. and then we just had to bring it down a little bit for 4, because we know that things ramped up big time in episode 5, and then of course we're gonna have an all-out like blitz in this finale. I mean, it's just gonna be pretty much nonstop action.
Yeah, it's interesting because this can go in so many directions, much like with the end of Wanda, where it was kind of there were people were imagining what would happen, and then they went in a different direction than what I think a lot of people wanted. So I think that kind of led to people maybe being discouraged or whatever. But I think I've faced this series a little different in the sense that I think a lot back to when D&D talked about how the Game of Thrones leaks happened,
right?
And when they went to Disney, how Disney basically told them, well, this is what you need to do to make sure that nothing gets spoiled and gets out there. Because, I mean, okay, sure, there are some things that are given away, via social media. Maybe some of the actors are saying certain things or posting certain pictures or whatnot. Or, when there's a wrap, there's, a picture, an on-set picture. So there are different things that like clue people in. But at least for me, I think, outside of getting some depth to the characters, like a lot of times, I'll send you a message and be like, hey, so-and-so's character in the comics did this.
Right.
So it's kind of helping like nudge things in a certain way. But there's definitely a lot of things that are still left open where it could go in a lot of different directions. There's still so much pointing towards the rise of the Thunderbolts with all of this.
Right.
Even, I mean, not to skip ahead to episode 5 too much, but the whole thing with the Dora Milaje, or however you pronounce it, they're taking Zemo to Thunderbolt Ross in his jail.
Yeah.
He's the head of the Thunderbolts in the comics. So
right.
It would make you think that even the Wakandans kind of have maybe an ulterior motive. Right. And who knows where this could go. I mean, we've talked about different theories and different things with like Doom and whatnot. But just imagine, we've seen what happened with Thanos, and it led to the death of Iron Man. And let's say that they work something in to say that it also led to the death of Black Panther or something like that. Maybe it's coming from the Wakandans that, hey, we need an expendable team.
Right.
Next time some real big bad comes up and, and we don't want to sacrifice our people anymore.
Right. And arguably probably one of the grittiest scenes that I think we've seen in the MCU was at the end of episode 4, though. So as much as it was the ballad, as we were saying, it ended with some real dark. Like I remember my wife and I were actually shocked that they went there and that Disney let that with blood on the shield and John Walker standing over the one of the flag smashers, which it seemed to be like her second. And it happened to be the guy who was talking in the cemetery about how much he idolized Captain America, and that was his hero. So of course the irony was ridiculous. But we find out that John Walker, there's the whole fight with Carrie and everybody in the thing, and he winds up getting holding on to a bit of the serum. And that was from episode 3, right? That happened where he had the serum, or did? No,
it was in 4.
Okay, it was early on, right?
Yeah. It happened in 4, and then he had the conversation with Battlestar, basically saying, hey, if you were ever able to get the serum, would you take it?
Right.
And he says, yes, it would only amp up who I actually am.
Right.
It wouldn't do, it wouldn't be harmful, which, clue everyone in that, okay, it's going to be harmful.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The minute you say that, it's literally going to be harmful. And of course, he does take it, and we see him, get into a fight, and he basically winds up killing that guy because Battlestar
ends up dead. Yeah,
ends up dead, which I was a little like, is he dead? Is he not dead? Because that was what I was waiting to see what was going to happen with episode 5. Like, he killed this guy out of anger, and he's surrounded by like, everybody filming him, which then goes like, of course, viral because, Captain America basically beheading a guy in public with the shield. It's crazy. I mean, absolutely insane. So I was shocked that they went there, but it speaks to then the character in the books of how, extreme John Walker is in the books, it's super nationalist and all that. And, he does stuff that Cap would never do.
Right. And apparently the whole scene with the shield actually does come from something that Steve Rogers did in the comics where, if I remember correctly, he had been trying to fight off some organization, and regardless what he did and whatever sanctions they tried, they just kept coming back and killing more and killing more. And apparently in the comic, if I remember what I read correctly, he ends up doing that to one of them under, with all this public around. Right. And it's kind of a similar thing, but the twist there is that Captain America had no other choice, because if not, it was going to be a long, drawn out, fight with this evil organization.
Right. He was left with no choice, as opposed to this, where he hunted that guy and killed him.
Yeah. It was funny because when the episode finished, I didn't think of it till now, but it was definitely like a red shirt type thing from Star Trek, where they were focusing on the guy. But I said to my wife, we watch the show Chopped every now and then. And I said, an easy way of telling who they're eliminating first is the person that they focus on the most in the first segment. Whoever gets the most camera attention in the first segment is gone the first segment.
Yeah, because they feel bad and they want to make sure that person has their moment in the spotlight.
Right. So when the episode finished, I said this guy was chopped. Literally. But I said it was the same. It was the same approach. They focused on him the entire time. And all of a sudden because we had other episodes with the Asian guy and who's back there or something like that is his name.
Something like that.
So we had all that time with him, and then all of a sudden this guy kind of steps in. And it was like, wait a sec, where'd this guy come from? We haven't seen him before, and we've been seeing Flag Smashers for the past few episodes already.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of weird, because the other thing too is if he was, such a good friend, why wasn't he in the car with her when she blew up all the guys in the building?
Yeah, and I also have a feeling now. I got a feeling that she didn't tell anybody that she was going to do that.
No, I don't think so.
Because they all seemed pretty like kind of shocked on that type of thing. Yeah. And I don't think she clued anybody in that she was going to do it. I think one of them, I thought we were going to scare them or something. And he's like, well, they seem pretty scared to me now. Like, and but yeah, they gave him that monologue in the cemetery. And obviously I didn't put it together until they got to that point. I'm like, oh my God, that is some cold-hearted stuff right there, Disney.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, seriously, that was nuts. So, that was the big thing from that episode, was his complete heel turn.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it made, Sam and Bucky realize that we got to take the shield off of this guy. Yeah. And much to your point, Disney has always said, we're not going to show blood. We're not going to show blood. We don't need to show blood. And when that happened in that episode, or first episode, remember, we talked about this. I said, hey, Sam killed like 6 guys in that opening sequence. And Disney's big on not killing anyone, or at least not that out in the open. It's done in a lot more overt fashion.
They've always taken the A-team approach, like if nobody on the A-team ever died, like no matter what happened, everybody got up and walked away. And and Disney's always had that same thing where, in the movie, and we're talking about the, different from the movies, we're talking about the shows, like.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, it was definitely necessary because they had to cool things down, because it's like like a concert. You have to pace things out, because if it's just one thing after the other, it was kind of the argument with WandaVision, where people just were so impatient at the beginning, and oh well, this isn't anything like Endgame. Why don't I have this battle right off the bat? Yeah, the battle in Endgame lasted an hour and a half, but because we had an hour and a half of like downtime. That movie was 3 hours long, but the first half was very slow. It was slow, methodic, building up the story,
right.
So on. That's kind of what they did with Wanda. Whereas with this, it's a little different because the characters are more or less established already. This is kind of a deeper dive into who Sam Wilson and James Barnes are. Right. And we've seen that over the course of these first 5 episodes. We're giving backstory, and Sam and Bucky weren't really characters that were in the forefront before. You have to give them something for people to give a crap about. If you just left them the way that they were, people are like, why do I care about them?
Right.
But you're mixing in so many, social issues. You're, bringing in the plight of someone who's trying to run a business, which the two of us can appreciate, and and how difficult it is being in the bayou, trying to work where it isn't the exactly the richest part of the country. So you're trying to get by however you can.
Right.
You've also got everything else that is going on with the GCR, for example. A lot of what you see there also touches a lot upon political issues that we've seen in the US with stuff with the southern border. But if you're in Europe, you've been seeing stuff like this play out for 40 years now, with people trying to come from Africa into mainland Europe to look for a better life. And they're kind of playing, the people that were left behind with the blip in kind of the same fashion, because, you're dealing with, almost concentration camps, and you're dealing with people trying to, in the series, get back to some semblance of life, and you're getting to like 12 people or however many people were there in New York, kind of dealing with a lot of people, their lives in the palm of their hands, where, much to true day politics, or, current day politics, probably don't give a shit about most of the people that they're dealing with,
No, and I mean, you're touching on a lot of stuff, and this is what the show has been going there, and they're like not shying away from a lot of parallels, and obviously timing is everything too. I mean, they couldn't possibly predict some of the things that are going on now in the news, and how much the show is reflecting back on what's going on right now, and I feel like it's making like the show that much more powerful. And once again, like Disney making this, like letting a lot of this stuff go, in the sense where they really weren't, they really didn't do a lot of I think in the past, the show like this would not have they wouldn't have let them go. As much social commentary as they've done, really dealing with some real issues of racism and discrimination, and obviously too with the socioeconomic and geopolitical. But really getting down in the trenches with some of these things, as much as you can on a show that's based on comic book characters. So it is, but I like that they're going there, and I like that it's become not just this average run-of-the-mill like comic book story, but like there is a real heart to it. And what I liked about episode 5 is how things have come back around, which is the fact that Bucky is dealing with having to finish like that. Him and Sam scene was great, where Sam's doing some like awesome, like, counseling, because once again, let's not forget, Sam was a counselor for years, helping soldiers returning with dealing with PTSD and all that. And I loved seeing Sam like counsel Bucky, who is basically, PTSD to like nobody has, because he was brainwashed, and he's once again carrying around the memories and a guilt of having performed these terrible murders and executions, like that he wasn't able to control himself. And I love how they're not going to let that go. Like, he has to finish. And he's like, the reason why you're waking up is because you haven't finished up like what you're supposed to be doing. And that's, and he's going to go talk to, where he's going to go. He's going to go talk to the guy from the beginning that he killed his son, his father. He's going to go talk to the father that he was eating sushi with and everything. Something just dawned on me. Okay.
What if that ties into Shang-Chi?
It could. They did just drop the trailer this week, which looks great, by the way. I'm like, wow, this is really good. So maybe, I don't want to go there just because they have an Asian character on the show that they're going to tie it into their Asian film. But they could. It could be a good lead-in, because that is supposed to come out after Black Widow, if Black Widow ever comes out. Yeah. Which also
no. Black Widow July, Shang-Chi September.
Okay, all right. So so we got till September. So maybe they set the ground or introduce something there. And just to go there too, Julie Louis-Dreyfus character, which is Lady Hydra, which I know you because we were both like, wait a second, who's this character? It was a little deep for me, but like you got the answers on that, and we'll talk about that. But from what I've heard, and I think maybe you shared this with me, because that she was actually supposed to be introduced in Black Widow.
I didn't share.
Okay, so she's supposed to be introduced in Black Widow, but because Black Widow hasn't come out yet, apparently Black Widow was supposed to come out before the show.
Yeah, a year ago.
Yeah, so her character was supposed to be introduced in Black Widow first, and then she pops up in this, which sets up, which I'll talk to you about, which is a theory that I'll bring up when we get to some of that stuff of why she could be possibly there.
Right.
But that's apparently where her character, I guess, is seen first place. So now we'll see it play out that we see her now first in this show, and then we'll see her again, I guess, in Black Widow.
Yeah, the other thing, too, that people have gone apeshit over the whole Lady Hydra thing is that she had a relationship with Nick Fury. Is Nick Fury going to show up?
Right, but which version of Nick Fury? Are we going to see Talos's version of Nick Fury? Is it really Nick Fury? Is it Talos?
Right.
Right.
Which is funny, because remember when Captain Marvel came out, everyone talked about, the patch is on the wrong eye. The patch is on the wrong eye. He's never had it on that eye. So, it all makes sense. There's a reason why the patch is on the other eye, because there's two different versions going around.
There's two versions of Nick Fury. So, if we're going to see anything in the finale, we're going to see some, I think we'll see that. I think we'll see Nick Fury. Talos is Nick Fury, though, not Nick Fury in space Nick Fury.
Chris Fagler has just predicted Nick Fury showing up.
Yeah.
Will Nick Fury show up, folks?
But which one?
Which one? Both. Well,
both Nick Furies.
Nick Fury has a tie-in with Spider-Man as well.
He does. But that still doesn't mean Peter Parker showing up in the finale. And some other cool things. So with these last two episodes as well, and I loved the scene of, and this was in episode 5, going back to Isaiah. Sam goes back to Isaiah and has that great like backstory where that delivery by the actor who plays Isaiah was awesome. I loved that whole scene. I thought that was really cool to hear that, and then hear like the differences between Steve and him, and like what he had to go through, and just the horrible things that they did to him. Yeah, it was just heartbreaking. And but
his opinion is very real, because a lot of people have gone through a lot of that, and as much as you mentioned that Disney has steered away from a lot of this stuff, the comics have not. The comics have always took on, a lot of different social issues over the years.
Yeah.
Being a cast out, going all the way back to the 60s, in the eyes of Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and, all the people behind Marvel, a lot of what they were doing was letting people know, hey, just because you're Black, you're Asian, you're Latino, you're a white guy that's a geek, if you're, regardless what you are, it doesn't mean that, you can't rise above. That was one of the things that they've always tried to, portray with, Spider-Man and with Black Panther and with Captain America and with all these different things,
I mean, the X-Men is that. I mean, mutants. I mean, people that are get cast off in the misfits of society. Like that's basically what the X-Men are.
Yeah, it's really sure. So it's pulling in all of these things that obviously are science fiction, but it's applying them in a way to make people understand, how to deal with one another, how to deal with certain things in life. Is the storytelling always perfect? No, of course not. But
no.
It's definitely Disney going in a direction that they've never gone through before.
Yeah, and at least with this show, and I like that, and I like that they're doing it because it's definitely. I wasn't sure what to expect from this show, other than I knew balls out action and like awesome sequences,
right.
But I didn't know what sort of story they were going to tell with the two of them, and was it just going to be like kind of a buddy cop movie the whole time, or like an extended version of that? And there's been parts of that which have been great, but they've actually, I feel like they've spent a little more time separate dealing with things, and they've also grown together where they really did not like each other. And I actually didn't even realize how much they didn't even like each other, because you don't really go that much into it in the movies because there's no time for all this development. And now it's like you kind of get this, like they don't, like Sam doesn't even like want to talk to him like at points, like because he's just so like doesn't like him.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to allude to before. They were trying to give us a reason to give a crap about these two. Whereas based on what we saw in the movies, we really, one was, they were both Captain America's sidekicks, They were both jealous sidekicks that were upset that one was getting attention over the other one, So much so that they had that scene in the series where it was kind of revenge with the moving of the car seat.
Yeah.
You're really not going to move the car seat, are you? Nope.
Nope. Yeah, I thought that was really funny that they did that, and they've done some really cool things, and I like that. I like them really figuring out like Sam back at his, like that whole sequence where Sam's back home and he's with his sister and they're trying to figure out how they're gonna, like, they decide we're not selling the boat now. We're going to fix it up, or they were going to fix it up to sell it. And then they got it fixed up and they decided they couldn't sell it because of their parents' legacy. And I love that, he comes and he's helping, and just all that bonding stuff I really enjoyed. And then, obviously all the Rocky training sequences with the shield was really great. Really great. I thought they did that well.
Yeah. There's the scene where Sam also repeats the Captain America phrase when he's talking to his, his two nephews.
Yeah. All day.
Yeah. So there's that. There's also, the funny interplay between Bucky and Sam's sister, where he's like, now don't you be flirting with my sister.
Oh yeah, that was really good. That was funny because it was like right away, like she's making eyes with Bucky, and Bucky's kind of like, yeah, all right, like,
all right, yeah.
This could be a thing, and then Sam's like, no, this isn't happening. Especially after all this stuff they just went through, and now it's like, no, you're not. You and my sister are not getting together. That was really fun. And just to jump back a little bit earlier too, I mean, when we wrapped up the Zemo storyline, at least. Mm-hmm. For this series, with the Dormelage, right? Does it sound like the Dormelage?
Dormelage, I think it's. Yeah.
We see Zemo's at the Sokovia Memorial, and he gets taken away. And they said they're taking him to the raft.
The raft, which is what Thunderbolt Ross,
which controls. Is right. You brought that up, and I find that interesting because just to go back on that point that you were bringing up before is like, why take him to the raft
and not to
Wakanda? Because that was the big thing. Like, we're taking him back to Wakanda. He needs the justice needs to be served for him murdering the king and all that. And then they're bringing him to the raft, which is not Wakanda's jurisdiction at all.
Right. So that's kind of fishy, because
they made a point of calling it out, like,
right.
They could have just taken it away, and we would have just been like, "Oh, you're taking him to Wakanda."
Yeah, he's in Wakanda.
But the fact that she said we're taking him to the raft makes you exactly what you say. Like, why is he going to the raft? I mean, I get the raft; it's highly secure, all that stuff, but it seemed like the Wakandans wanted to deal with him on their own terms.
Yeah, but it also makes you think, again, what are the ulterior motives?
Right. What are those motives?
Are they going to work in, like I said, maybe the ultimate goal is to say that, hey, Black Panther died as a result of Endgame. Is that how they're gonna
Well, I mean, I guess there's still a few ways you could go with this. I mean, they're either gonna recast the role. And
which people are pushing for now.
People are, and I'm listen. It's a great role, and he, Chadwick Boseman is an awesome actor. But maybe they do recast it, and I don't know how. That's one way to go, and the other way to go is how they've been doing it in the comics, which is Shuri is Black Panther, and I don't know if she still is, but she was or is.
I mean, and I mentioned this before, the other thing that I would have loved is, as a result of the snap, let's say if that somehow, because this is something that hasn't been broached before, let's say the blip brings back people that were previously dead that weren't supposed to come back. And maybe that's one of the issues that comes up. And as a result, Kilgore's back.
Right.
And, is there a way to make him become, the Black Panther all of a sudden? I mean, that to me would be my favorite two things, one or the other. But they're also going to have a Wakandan series as well. So is that going to factor into where we're going to go with this? There's so many things. I mean, that's the greatness about what they've done so far, is that they've left so many people guessing. They've left so many things, so many loose ends, enough to satisfy you, but enough to keep you wondering, and not to, pardon the pun or however you say it, they've left us with enough what if.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about what ifs now, going into the finale talk here.
Okay.
So a lot of things still need to be resolved. Like, who is the power broker? Is it Carter?
At this point,
is it Sharon Carter?
Unless they bring some like big bad out of thin air all of a sudden, or someone back that we weren't expecting to give us like a real oh crap moment, I think it's going to be Carter.
Or is it Carter and is Lady Hydra, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character? Is she the power broker and they're working together?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that as well, that they make it like a combination of both. That's something else. When I saw her show up, I told my wife she's the power broker. Like right as I was seeing it, I'm like, there's no other reason to bring her in unless she's going to be doing some big, massive role because of her credibility. Let's be honest. She showed up and she automatically had the biggest name on the series. So it's one of these things where you don't just bring someone like that in. Like when they brought in Robert Redford, you don't just bring Robert Redford in unless he's the leader of Hydra. You don't just bring a Julia Louis-Dreyfus in unless it's going to be a major role. Is Lady Hydra big enough?
Well, okay, so here comes another thing. Now I'll bring this thing that I talked about a couple times, and this is what I read today, and it made me think.
Okay.
Is she whether she's power broker or not, is she basically then the start of the Dark Avengers?
Well, because those are the two theories.
Right.
That we're either getting Dark Avengers or we're getting Thunderbolts.
Right. Because Dark Avengers makes a lot of sense.
But
you have Abomination out there. You have John Walker's out there. You have.
But they were both part of the Thunderbolts as well.
Right. So I guess it just comes down to like, which way are they going to go? Or are they just going to combine it? Will they just combine it and make it into like, it's just one, they're just going to combine the two factions and just call it Dark Avengers or I don't know, something. But, I feel like we're getting set up for this. And so she is power broker and, there's still a lot of pieces here that are moving around.
Yes.
And where this is going to fall because, Marvel does a great job with surprising us. And I feel like that, like, we're not going to have a Doctor Strange moment in the, like, Doctor Strange isn't coming into this. I don't think Doctor Strange doesn't make sense to be in this though right now. Like, what point would he come in and play in this storyline? It makes zero sense.
Right. I agree with you.
Right. And in all seriousness, no, I mean, I know we've been joking about the Peter Parker thing and it's funny, but what role would a Peter Parker play in this storyline in particular, other than these guys need some extra help?
How about Dr. Octopus and Electro being on the raft?
As a button scene at the end when they're taking Zemo to the raft and we see who else is on the raft?
Could be.
And we're not saying that we know that. This is purely.
This is just
our imaginations running wild here.
Yes, because you have to reintroduce Electro and Doc Ock somehow.
Possible, unless they just fall out of the sky because they come out from the multiverse.
I mean, there's so many different things that we could. That they could use to address this.
I mean, I definitely think Rhodey's making another appearance.
Yes.
Do we see, because there's been a lot of talk about him being gone, but is he really gone?
Captain America?
Rogers. Do we see old man Rogers? And possibly a team up with him and Isaiah. Oh!
Here's the thing.
I have a few old super soldiers.
Yeah, could you imagine?
Oh my god.
I mean, that would have to be something like, because Sam, the way that things have played out, Sam and Steve obviously have not spoken to one another after Endgame.
At least that's what they're making it seem.
Okay, so the only way for Isaiah and
possible the only person that knows where Steve is Bucky,
or Nick Fury.
He's really dead, or Nick Fury, because Nick Fury just seems to know everything.
Yeah. But there would have to be. I have a feeling we've seen the end of Isaiah. Is what I think.
Okay,
because I think that served the purpose of a lot of different things.
Well, it's what Sam needed to hear.
It's what Sam needed to hear, and Bucky also gave him like a kind of kick in the ass, because what Isaiah was saying was 100% correct. And there are a lot of people that feel that way, based on how,
of course,
the African Americans, how black people are treated in the U.S. A lot of people do not stand behind the flag because of that, So with his whole thing of, no self-respecting black man would ever pick up that uniform.
Right.
That was messing with Bucky's head, or with Sam's head.
Yeah.
And then Bucky pretty much told him, hey, you don't have to be Isaiah. He's right, but you don't have to be him. You can have your own sentiments and ideas, and you can respect his as well. I think that's an important piece and an important learning point in society itself, that a lot of people through social media and through different things aren't getting is that just because the two of us, let's say there's something we don't agree upon, it doesn't mean we have to stop being friends. It doesn't mean that we have to stop respecting each other. No one's killing one another. No one is, there's so many things here that I think that Bucky's speech should be something that people should understand.
Right.
I think we all have people in our families that have different ideas and different, follow different,
of course.
Political,
whatever
figures.
it is. Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't mean that you stop loving that person or you stop respecting that person just because they have different ideas, even if you feel that they're misguided. I don't know. That's what I think they were trying to show us in that piece, and that Sam needs to become his own man. He's been behind Steve Rogers. He's also trying to fit into what Isaiah wants him to be, instead of just figuring out, hey, this is who I am. And that's, I think, what we're going to get in this final episode, where he's finally going to say, this is me. I understand you. I will fight for you, but I'm going to do it my way because this is how I am.
Yeah.
That's what I think we'll get out of that.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that is all going to, it obviously culminates with the end here, because we get the final shot of him opening the condoms, which we, at this point, it's and I think there's already a leaked image on the internet somewhere, which I actually didn't even want to go look at, because I just want to watch the episode tomorrow, of Sam with the new captain suit, his new suit that was made.
You mean
for him.
it's not Buzz Lightyear's wings?
It is Buzz Lightyear's wings. How awesome would that be?
So here's my question to you.
I saw that picture. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I laughed my ass off too. Buzz's arm and Buzz's wings.
Buzz's arm and wings. So good. So good. Some people, man, they just know how to make a good comedy piece.
So in the comics,
right,
Torres becomes the new Falcon.
Right, becomes a
Becomes
hybrid.
the new captain. Yeah,
it becomes like a humanoid Falcon hybrid because it takes the serum, right? But it totally screws him up.
So here's a thing to consider, because again, one of the rumors was that the power broker was Thunderbolt Ross,
and it very well still could be,
or it could be, which a lot of people still think it's Zola.
Right, which that's another thing, which would be an amazing reveal too. I don't think, but I feel like the Zola thing starts to feel a little bit more like Mephisto.
Yeah.
As we go on here, I feel like the odds are better that a Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, or
Sharon Carter, or someone who we've already seen.
Right, somebody we've seen before. But it would be an amazing twist.
Yeah, it could be. But I think, I definitely think they've pointed it out that there's very few serum, but the way that Zola makes sense is that there's a ton of serum out there that no one knows about, and they've been giving it to, say, soldiers in this case, But the plausible way that they've been talking, in various Easter egg videos that I've seen, is that instead of them going that route, is that he just fixes Sam's wings and helps them out in this last episode.
I think that's what's going to happen more than anything, because I don't think, while it does well in the comic books, I don't think that's going to be something that they're going to. I think it'd be more like, let's make this a little bit more. I hate the realistic, even though it's a comic book show. I don't think they're going to go with this hybrid half man, half Falcon thing. I think it'll be he'll fix the suit, maybe modify it, and become that version of Falcon. And then
how about he goes to Rhodey and they somehow fix it and he ends up using it. I think that somehow, I think if there's a logical another Avenger to show up, much like that first episode, I think we could honestly see Rhodey showing back up in this last episode to
Yeah,
help him.
I think that's a given. I really do. I feel like that it fits right in. It does, but it just makes complete sense, especially because we've seen him already. And he comes back to help because he was one of the first ones to tell Sam, like, you know, I'm telling you, you're making a mistake. Like, you are making a mistake. You shouldn't have done that. Like, you needed to keep that. Like, he chose you for a reason. Like, you know, which has been now the overarching theme for the entire show.
Right.
Has been that, keep coming back to that. And Sam saying, well, I have my reasons. And obviously now, as we just talked about, the Isaiah story, and then Bucky bringing it full circle, and then Sam really saying, yes, you know what, I can do this. I can make it my own. I don't have to stand for this or stand for that. I can be my own version and have those. So
here's a question for you, which I've seen someone mention. Does and it's not Carrie. We keep saying Carrie, but it's not Carrie.
Yeah, it's like it seems like Carrie, but it's not Carrie.
Yeah. Reason we keep saying Carrie is because of your friend Carrie. I want to get this right. So we are at the exciting part of the episode where I am typing in the
right where we're IMDbing, searching for character names.
Carly. Okay, Carly, who the Morgenthau male character was part of.
Right.
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
Anyway, so someone brought up the theory, and I want to see if you think that this is a fair assessment.
Okay.
Is that her character is the new Wanda?
Okay. That interesting.
Wanda started in Sokovia as a as a big bad, let's say.
Right. So we're not saying she's Wanda as in like she's got the
superpowers.
I mean, she's super soldier. She's got serum.
Okay.
So she has powers, but she's not like a witch. Like she doesn't have like powers from the Power Stone or from the Mind Stone or whatever, whichever one she took. I mean, I could see something going on with that. I think there's going to be a twist. Maybe she is part of the Dark Avengers. You know, like basically she is caught, but it's like because basically the Dark Avengers are almost like the version of Suicide Squad. Like, it's more on that side of things, where she is caught, but like used because she's not. Well, now she's crossed the line. I was gonna say she wasn't really bad, but now she's really become like a full blown terrorist, like killing, people.
So let me ask you this.
And she seems set on pretty much murdering everybody in the GRP, right? Or whatever. The
GCR or GRP.
GCR, yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do U.S. Agent and her end up on the raft as well?
Yes.
Which means
with Electro and
Doc Ock
and Zemo
and whoever else we see there.
Abomination,
the Vulture. It's listen. Stranger things have happened. I doubt we're going to see that, but we've concocted some pretty good theories in the past, and
you know what though, I feel like your raft theory is probably the most plausible that we'll see as an end credit thing.
Right. That's
because once again, like I want to come back to it. You brought it up, and it is fishy. Like just saying, we're bringing him to the raft.
Yeah,
it's like
no, ding, 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 ding. He's coming to the raft.
He's coming to the raft, which means we will see the raft in.
He's going to the raft.
Not really a spoiler alert. We're just making this stuff up. But yeah, is he going? Will we see the raft and do that whole walk by of
Yeah, of everyone who's in there.
Yeah, of all that, being like, oh my god, going nuts, and we're all gonna overanalyze the hell out of that. And
not for nothing, but maybe that's also the tie into Loki. Maybe we see Loki in one of those cells.
The time variance.
Yeah, and that all of a sudden, maybe he disappears or something like that, and that like kind of works into that. I don't know, or
yeah. I don't know if they're gonna tie this in with I feel like Loki's gonna be a little bit more. Although it seems like he's traveling through time from that trailer at different points.
Yeah,
because they keep saying that it's broken and they got to go fix all this stuff. Which which again lends itself to a lot of course correction of things. Once you have to go fix time.
He's already been seen with Doctor Strange.
Yes, that I've heard. He's heard, and also,
well, he was in Ragnarok. Doctor Strange appears. So again, plausibility. I mean, all the multiverse things that we could see. Could we see? I don't know. End credit scene where Loki just shows up and he like looks around the raft and you see everyone there, and then he says, "Whoop, wrong timeline," and then he disappears.
It would be funny. It would be funny. It would be a funny time. Which you would have to assume they shot that later because of how things are out of order. Because this was supposed to be the first show, and then WandaVision, and then Loki. So they would maybe have had to go add that to make it feel a little bit more of a flow into because Loki's the next series. It would be funny to do. It would be funny to see that. I would definitely get a good laugh out of that. Meanwhile, setting up that we're going to be seeing some of these other villains. Do we see Victor Von Doom at all? Does Victor Von Doom? I mean, we were in Latavia.
Yeah,
no Victor Von Doom. That's not happening. No Fantastic Four stuff. No Victor Von Doom. Not happening. Right? Nothing.
See, here's the thing.
I can't see Fantastic Four makes zero sense.
To me, I think if they would have pulled the Doctor Doom card by now,
or at least had a character before he's pre-Doom, like just Victor.
I mean, or the other thing is it ties into again to Zemo with the Dora Milaje saying, "Hey, again, they're sending him in for a suicide mission, saying this guy's been stealing all of the vibranium. We need to get it back, and it's your job to do it." Type of a deal.
Is it possible? Bringing up another crazy thing here. Is it possible they never even bring Zemo to the raft, and that we're going to see another thing going on?
Well, which is what I'm kind of like.
Right, I know, but I'm saying it's it's like they're not going in a raft. They're really using Zemo.
They're using him in a mission where he's not going to come back from. They know that, again, they're going to send him to do something where they think he's going to fail, and it'll open the door for them to will the Taskmaster be on the raft? Well, yeah. Well, he is in Black Widow.
Yep, and somehow Black Widow's now part of Phase 4, which, you know what? If we're going and we're course-correcting timelines, potentially, allegedly.
I have said it all along. I don't buy into the fact that Black Widow is just going to be something standalone. And I've said it when we started talking about it, when they mentioned the movie, and after she's dead.
I mean, it's very possible they went in and reshot things, new scenes. I mean, it's been sitting around so long.
It's not like they didn't have time to do more things to the movie.
I mean, yeah, there's things I'm sure they were able to do in all this time. Maybe that's why it keeps getting pushed back to like, oh shit, let's add this.
They brought Zack Snyder in and they shot 15 and a half more hours of film. So when the Snyder cut,
Phase 4 is
when the Snyder cut of Black Widow hits D+, it's actually going to be a whole phase onto itself. It's going to be Phase 5 just by itself.
Right, that would be hilarious. But yeah, I do like that Taskmaster being on the raft. I like that. That would be a really cool lead-in.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things that, that they can throw in there that, again, they can create that like, oh crap moment that, we're all waiting for.
I mean, they'll tie this storyline up. This will get tied up. Bucky will have the redemption arc that'll be complete. Sam will have his full, you already see it, and now it'll just be him embracing who he is, and that sets that up. They'll obviously, this whole thing that's going on with Carly, this will all get dealt with. And it's just, where are they leaving us at the end of this episode? Like, where are we left?
Okay, but we've talked about all these different theories. Here's something we haven't talked about. Where do Sam and Bucky go after this?
Right.
Theory?
This is what I'm thinking. Because if there's, quote unquote, kind of no more Avengers right now, and they're just going on these solo missions, or is there a new Avengers that started?
Here's my theory.
Or they go to space with Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. I mean, I think once we get a new Avengers team being put together, I think obviously Fury is going to be the catalyst for that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the most sense. And is it Fury? Which Fury?
Which Fury again? But does Sam become the leader of the new Avengers? Because I know that a lot of people were saying, well, it's going to be Captain Marvel. It's going to be Captain Marvel. But
Captain Marvel's like off-world, like almost all the time.
Right. And aside from that, why else would they spend 6 hours on these two characters if it wasn't that they were leading us into them kind of being the new guys running and uniting, a new Avengers team?
Right. And does that culminate in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? Because if Scarlet Witch is the big bad in that film, or one of,
yeah.
Are they back in and form so it's just like, are they going to show up in that?
Much like Civil War, like Civil War was a Captain America movie, but it was really an Avengers movie if you really think about it. Cap is supposed to make, that's something that we talked about before. I don't know. We'll see if that actually plays out.
I only think because they've mentioned it so many times. He's gone. I feel like it's a no-brainer to bring it back one last time.
But I mean,
that may be because, once again, the fake out could be a mid-credit scene and then an after-credit scene.
Yeah, I mean, could I see Steve Rogers come back and say, "I'm glad you finally decided to do what you were supposed to do all along"? Sure. But I can't see, old man Cap like jumping into battle and all of a sudden, taking on John Walker.
Maybe.
Or could you? Could you see that?
I don't know. It could be funny. I mean, it could be actually pretty good. Like, I mean, is Steve Rogers still strong? Isaiah still had some strength about him.
Yeah, well, could we show up and have could he show up and then we have a Lethal Weapon moment with I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah. Maybe. Or another all day. I could do this all day.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You ready to do this all day, Sam?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll help kick off what's next for Falcon. I mean, it would be a nice nod, and kind of really put a period on that era and Cap and move on and the whole thing, and complete that whole arc. So it would be cool. I mean, from a fan point of view, it'd be awesome to see. I would be excited to see that.
For me, I think that because we still have a few other characters that are out there that, I mean, there's obviously going to be another Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
There's going to be, Spider-Man movie, which obviously we've talked about at length over the course of several weeks. Yeah. I think it would be kind of cool to have, similar to what we saw in X-Men First Class, where it's Bucky and Falcon like going around and trying to recruit different people to be part of the new Avengers team. Again, Matt Murdock.
Yep.
Do you want to, do you want to become part of the team? There's so many different ways that they can do it this. And even if, Daredevil was more known for being a defender, doesn't mean that on the big screen we can't see him become an Avenger instead. There's so many things that can play into this. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm 8 hours away from it debut. Well, it's 8 hours away from debuting everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, it's true.
Because it debuts at midnight Pacific Standard Time, so it debuts at 3 a.m. your time.
I was trying to see the running time on this episode, but it's not posted on IMDb yet.
Okay. 3 hours.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it was like a full hour or, but it's not up there yet. It just says episode number 1.6. Like it doesn't even have a title yet. Oh.
Do you think we'll have yeah, that would be funny.
That would be great.
Steve Rogers running up behind him.
Yeah, I want to hear on your left. Yeah, on your left.
He's like, wait, what?
Yeah, it'd be great. Camera pans. Oh my God, I would go nuts.
Yeah, that's that might be one that scene is probably the thing that I've watched the most on Disney Plus, believe it or not, since I've gotten it. Just the whole thing where they reappear and he adjusts the shield and just says Avengers Assemble. And just the way that the music is. I hate them for that music because the music, and right now just thinking about it, I'm getting goosebumps, okay? That scene makes me so emotional with just like rage and at the same time just
so good.
Wanting to, it just elicits so many different emotions. It's great.
It is.
I'm excited to see this episode. I think you are too.
I'm very excited to see it. Yes. I think I'm more excited to see the finale of this than I was with WandaVision, and I liked WandaVision a lot.
Yes. That's what I told my wife. I said the same thing, and I kind of said it a few weeks ago. As much as I really loved WandaVision.
And I did really enjoy WandaVision.
Yeah. This is really like getting three Marvel movies. It really feels like I could, like you could definitely sit down and like watch, blocks of 3 episodes at a time, and it would feel like watching a movie, And
I think it actually worked better now that WandaVision was the first and then this is the second, because I almost feel like now that if we had started with this and then went into WandaVision, I feel like we'd be like, what? Oh my God, this is so different. This feels so like, especially after what we've seen. Not that WandaVision was bad. I feel like that now. I feel like the reverse order is I don't know. For me, I feel like it works better.
Yeah, the flow's better. It would almost be like, imagine starting to watch Legion now. Yeah, really, exactly. It would be the same exact thing. And Legion was fabulous, but it's really weird and bizarre and very art house film stuff. But it's great. But it doesn't feel like this at all. I mean, this is like a Hollywood level. And I mean, it is Hollywood, but it's theatrical. Yeah. It's a theatrical feels. Production value is very high. I mean, we talked about it from the opening of episode 1, just being like, holy crap, this is how this is starting off, and that was nuts. And they've really maintained that level throughout. And I think that the finale is really going to be a finale. It's going to be a fireworks finale for sure. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Even if taking this and The Mandalorian into consideration, the episodes are a lot longer for this. These are all close to an hour. Yeah. Where I think Mandalorian probably like the end of season 1, I think that episode was like 49 minutes long. Yeah, I was going to say it was under 50 minutes. For the most part, the episodes are like 35 minutes long, 40 minutes.
And
and WandaVision was much the same. I think we got 2 WandaVision episodes that were a little over half an hour.
Yeah, we did.
And that kind of led to the whole like, oh my God, I need more now.
Like, I know. I was like, what? I can't believe it's over already. And
these episodes, they've jammed so much in there, but at the same time, it hasn't made me want to stop watching,
No. And I like, once again, I like that they've had these moments where they've been able to stop, break, slow it down, do this character development, learn so much more, go deeper. I love that. I really, and they're doing it well. I think 6 episodes has been the perfect amount for this. Because can you imagine right now if I said there's going to be there's a 7 and 8 after this? I think you and I would be like, okay, cool. But that means there's at least 1 or 2 throwaway episodes where we would have been like, oh, you could have combined like episodes like 4 and 5 together and then.
See, the way that they've built things up, it wouldn't work. Like, for example, there's a series like Bosch, for example, which I absolutely love. And one of the things that they always do with every season, there's 3 different arcs. There's a beginning arc, there's a middle arc, and then there's an ending arc. And they all kind of tie together one way or the other. There isn't enough here to do that because it has been all balls to the walls where
It's moved very fast. It's been fast paced, but
it's worked.
It has really worked, and I like this model. How many episodes is Loki?
6.
6. So, and I know WandaVision was 8.
But
and
half-hour episodes,
right? And it worked. It worked. I mean, I'm glad we got 8 episodes of that, and this has worked. I feel like if this is the model that they're going to use between 6 to 8 episodes for these shows, I like it. I like it. And this is the thing you and I always talked about with the Netflix series and all that. And, they dragged it out and it started off good, got lazy in the middle. And then the finales were like mostly pretty good. This has been so, already WandaVision, this Mandalorian, they've all been so different from any of the Netflix series in every way. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for this finale. And I think everybody listening and watching is pumped for it too. So I'm excited to do our episode next week. We talk about this finale and really unpack this because there's going to be a lot I'm sure you and I are going to be diving into.
Absolutely. Here's the other thing, since you brought up Netflix. And since we talked about Shang-Chi coming out in September, I couldn't help but watch that trailer and think, Iron Fist.
It's very possible. There could be a time. I hope it's not Finn, whatever his last name. So no offense to him. That wasn't his fault. This is bad script writing. Geez.
But again, here's the thing. Can you accept him in that role, having Kevin Feige behind everything and having the right people behind him?
I would be tough. I have to see it. I got to see something. I'd have to need a little bit, or I need to have a little. I'm so scarred from that. I feel like I may need a palate cleanse.
Right.
No offense, buddy. Finn, whatever your last name is. No offense, pal, but and I'm sure he could care less what I think, but
I'm sure word will get back to him and he will be up all night.
Right. And our podcast will go berserk overnight because he'll tweet about it.
Absolutely.
We'll just blow up.
Interesting. The actress that played Mama Danya,
her
real name, Veronica Falcon.
Ha! That's pretty good.
Falcon.
That
because
is pretty
it's
good.
got she's okay. So she's Mexican. There's a exclamation. There's an accent over the O.
Right.
But yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I guess with that, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight, and
that is it.
We've talked about a lot. It's been great. Thank you for the comments tonight. This is great. We always love it when we get comments and questions as we go. It makes it fun for us. So thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us tonight as we recap the Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes 4 and 5. Made some predictions about the season finale, which will be airing. With that, I always like to say, or we always like to say, punch that subscribe button.
Yes.
Right. And yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching this. And if you're listening to the audio version, please, please, please hit that subscribe button there. So that way you get notified every single time we drop a new episode of the podcast, both on video and audio. You can also follow us at galaxyofgeeks.net. That is our website. We've got all the past episodes are up there. If you want to listen to anything from the past, you can download them. You can stream them right from there. Of course, anywhere you see anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can hear them as well. The YouTube channel has all the most current videos that we've been releasing on Thursday nights. And we do have a handy dandy merch store if you'd be so kind to go over there and purchase some Galaxy Geeks merch, because it helps us pay for things like the website hosting and the streaming software and all these great things that we do. We truly do not really make any money off of this. We just do this because we love hanging out and talking with you guys about all this nerd stuff.
Yeah, we are definitely not the Nerdist or any other great big platform. It is just two guys from New Jersey talking about stuff that we love.
Yeah. Basically, we're just going live on the stuff that he and I would normally talk about if no one was listening. So these are pretty much the same conversations we have when we're not have mics in front of our faces and webcams on.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So with that, I'm going to throw it over to my co-host to take us out. Play us out.
That's it. Thank you for watching, listening, live or on a replay, and we will see you next time right here on the Galaxy of Geeks podcast. Punch it.